Welcome back to the Knitterarium podcast. My name is Ruth and this podcast is coming to you from Westmeath in Ireland where I live. I want to thank you all for taking some time out of your busy days to spend it with me, and I really do appreciate it. This is episode 37, so it is. The places that you can find me are on my website knitterarium.com. You can find me on Instagram as Knitterarium, and we also have a Ravelry group, Knitterarium. So if you just search Knitterarium under the groups tab, you will find us, and that is the place that you will find our introduction threads and our chatter threads. And we also have our Moon Garden knit along happening over there, and that is running until February the 23rd. And some of the variations of Moon Garden are absolutely fantastic. I'm really excited by all the beautiful projects that's happening over there with that. And we also have the Knitterarium Challenge 2018 running in the group, and that is where you take a post in the official thread of any challenges you want to, personal challenges, knitting challenges, crafting challenges that you want to meet this year. And then we have a chatter thread where we are talking through all those as we are making progress. I will leave all the links to any of those things that I've spoken about and anything else in the rest of the podcast down below in the description box, and that's where you will also find the show notes for this episode as well. So I think that's really all of the admin stuff. We're just going to get started into the knitting. So we are. The first thing I brought up, I'm just going to move my notes. The first thing that I brought up to show you all is Midnight Sunset. Let's see. Oh, I have it back to front. This is Midnight Sunset. This is, by the time that this podcast gets uploaded onto YouTube, this should be released on Ravelry. This here is Midnight Sunset, and this is knit in Eden Cottage Yarn's Aran Pendle weight yarn, and it has used three colours: stone chat, and then this is thunder. And it is a semicircular shawl, so it is, and it is just so big and wide, and it is so gorgeous to wear. The Pendle Aran weight is just so soft from Eden Cottage Yarns. It's gorgeous, and we have garter and eyelet sections with lace. We have two different types of lace patterning put into it, and then we have a lovely picot edge border. It's a bit of fluff. So yeah, that is. So you'll see that there is that is the other lace section there. And as I said, it is really, really quite big. It's too big for me to be able to show you completely on screen, but that is the Midnight Sunset, and that's the shawl I was speaking about last week that I had forgotten to take up and show you. But as I said, it will be available on Ravelry by the time that this episode gets uploaded, and I hope you enjoy it. It was an absolute dream to knit, and be an Aran weight. It knit up really quickly, so it did, and it was a nice change of pace to the fingering weight yarn that I normally use. So that is Midnight Sunset, and that is just a little introduction to it. So that is the first thing I wanted to show you. Next, if you're following me on Instagram, you may have seen these on yesterday's post. And these are the finished, completed socks. These are the Queen of Tarts socks, and these will be coming to you in a couple of weeks. So it is. It's important to let Midnight Sunset, which is going to be released, have its time in the spotlight. So it is before I release the next pattern, and then it will be these Queen of Tarts socks. I finished them and I blocked them. So I just need to photograph them, and my testers are finishing up with them, so they are. These were knit in the Eden Cottage Yarns Tempo 4-ply. This is the Whispering Grass colourway here, and then for the splash colour on the toes, this is Dianthus. So that's those. I did finish those. Yeah, I think that was. Yeah, I'm not going to say, as I said, I'm not going to say too much more about those, because when it comes closer to the release, I will have them. I will speak more about them, so I will, and there will be the normal sneak peek newsletter going out to newsletter subscribers about those, and the same with Midnight Sunset. So you'll be able to hear all about those there. If you want to sign up for my newsletter, it is on my website. What's the Story? So you'll be able to, if you find that, it's just down at the bottom of the main page, and you'll find it. You can sign up there. So what did I work on this last couple of weeks? 2 weeks? Is it 2 weeks? No, maybe 10 days. 10 or 12 days maybe for my podcast last. So what I worked on is, you'll have seen also that I revealed the name of this on my Instagram feed. This is Then I Met You, and this is part of a collection that is set for release in the autumn. It is going to be the Forever collection, and this is Then I Met You. So this is, I'm very near the end of this. I think I have 4 rows left to do. I'm not sure, is it 4 rows or 4 repeats? It's something quite small like that. There's 4 in it anyway. I know I calculated it at the end of the Friday, the end of my working week. I worked it out, and it was 4. I'm not sure if it's 4 repeats or 4 rows. One or the other. It's not much anyway. And then I can bind it off and get it blocked. So the yarns I'm using for this is this beautiful, this is Antique Rose from Eden Cottage Yarns. This is their Oakworth. Their Oakworth 4-ply, which is 100% New Zealand Poleward wool. And the other colour I'm using is Steel, which is this lovely grey. So, and this, the Antique Rose, I said, and this is such a pale, delicate pink. It's absolutely gorgeous. I love the two of those together, and I love how they're working up together in the shawl. It is this has just been a delight to knit on, and I've really enjoyed it. I also want to say it's not that I'm pleasantly surprised. I suppose I'm surprised, or to a certain extent, that my desire to slow down, change how and when I release things, and to, I suppose, put more intent behind my designing and not feel so rushed. I'm surprised at how well it was received. I'm not surprised that so many of you feel the same way. It's been a growing thing, I think, and certainly over the last the previous year. So I'm absolutely delighted and thrilled that so many of you are on the same I suppose playing field as me, that we're there together. So I have to say, and it's not the easiest thing in the world to slow down and to step back and to say, not so much halt, but to I suppose to remember that I am taking that time to enjoy what I'm doing and to put that energy into what I am creating and into what I am designing. So I've been really conscious of doing that with this particular shawl. More so, I think, because it's probably the one I was working on, and this is one of the first pieces I'm working on for autumn. So I suppose that's why I've been conscious of doing that with this project. But this is the project where last week I had all my computer ended work finished early. It was one of those rare days where I had very little computer ended work, and what really needed doing was I needed to make progress on the sample of this. Nothing else could happen and nothing else can happen with this design until I get the sample finished. It's at that stage. So it was just, I had to just sit and knit on this. So I turned off the computer. I put the phone on silent, and I came out here. This is my sort of my knitting spot, shall we say. So I just came out here, and I put on some series or something, just something in the background, and I just sat and I knit, and it was just the most relaxing thing. I didn't think about how much progress I had to get made. I didn't think about this has to be done, this part has to be done. There was no there was none of that, and it was just simple knitting, and it was so relaxing. And it got to lunchtime, and I was really reluctant to have to put my piece down and sort of move on with the rest of my day. I just so enjoyed it so much. It was absolutely, and it reminded me that that's what I enjoyed about knitting. That's why I took up designing, and that's what it was about. It was just, oh, I loved it. It was definitely one of those. It was definitely one of those rare moments. So it was, and it's something that I don't want to be so rare. I want, if I'm at the stage that I need to do sample knitting, I want every time I sit down to sample it. I want to get myself into that frame of mind that my mind isn't racing 10 steps ahead of what has to be done next, and I want to just be in the moment. So it's not an easy thing to do. It's something I have to keep reminding myself of, but I'm hoping that the more I do it, then the easier it'll be. So that is kind of a very long-winded and kind of tangent of a bit of a talk about Then I Met You. But there it is, that's it. What else did I do? I caked up these yarns. These are for another autumn design. These are for another autumn design. They're not part of the collection, but they're not part of the collection that Then I Met You is part of, but all of my autumn pieces are worked to the same theme as the collection. It happened that way. It wasn't any great planning on my part. It just seemed to just happen that way. So I caked up these yarns, and this is possibly one of the next projects I'm going to start on. I'll wait until Then I Met You is off the needles, I think, and then I'll make it a start. I did debate with myself about casting this on as soon as I had caked up the yarns, because I really love these colours also. But I decided to wait. I decided to wait and to actually give myself the time to fully enjoy Then I Met You, to enjoy it right until the last stitch, and to make sure that it was just what I had wanted it to be. So I caked them up and they're ready, and they'll sit here, and they won't have too long to sit here until I will be using them. But so the yarns I am using, again, Eden Cottage yarns, and I'm using the Carlisle Fingering 4-ply weight. This is 100% superwash merino, so it is, and I am using the colours. This is Cottage Garden, so this is a mix of naturals with kind of like sandy oranges down here, and then we have splashes of kind of like a dusky rose pink colour, and with that I am teaming it with Dahlia. Now this is one of my absolute favourite colours from Eden Cottage yarns. I have a few, but this one I absolutely love. This is Dahlia, and I used this colour last year in the Walking with Elizabeth collection, and I absolutely loved it, and I knew I had to use it again. So I happened to have purchased it with this bark colour. Now these are all the Carlisle Fingering 4-ply from Eden Cottage yarn. So this is bark and Dahlia, and I had these two, and I love how these two look together, but something was missing, and in the last update I happened to spot this Cottage Garden, and I thought that is just gorgeous, and I thought that the three of these together, they're fun, would make just a fantastic pairing. There we have them. I just love how they are. I just love how these are together. So I'm looking forward to getting started and working with those. But I won't be starting with those, as I said, until Then I Met You is off the needles. They are being kept in my other hedgehog bag. It's all about the hedgehog bags. There's one. It's all about the hedgehog bags for my work in it. Anyway, so it is. So that is the other thing I did. I think what I'll show you next is my Moon Garden Cal. My Moon Garden, which I'm knitting for the Moon Garden Cal. Now, yeah, I'm going to, because I knit on these at this weekend just gone and last weekend. Most of my personal knitting tends to get done in the at the weekends, sometimes in the evenings, which, if it's a piece I'm really wanting to work on, I will sneak in a little bit of extra time. I might stay up later and I might sneak in a little bit of extra time on it, and I'll tell you about that now in a moment. But anyway, this is the Moon Garden knit along, or not, this is the Moon Garden which I'm knitting for the knit along. This is a Knitterarium pattern, so it is. Now, last weekend, so when I showed this to you last, I had a tiny amount done. I had one repeat down here on the front of this. I'm going to see if I can show this to you in a better, there we go. So I was one repeat down here on the vine pattern, just about here. I didn't put a progress keeper on it. I should have, but anyway, I didn't, so there we go. I had one repeat done, and last weekend I want to get it to the stage where I was joining it in the round. So this part is knit back and forth, the vine part, and then when you get so far up, then you join it in the round. You join it in the round about here. So about here is where we join in the round, just shortly after here. And I need to move my notes or they're going to fall. So about here. And then this weekend, on Saturday afternoon, I had a relaxing afternoon. I had all the jobs and chores I needed to get done. I managed to get them all done early, and so I spent Saturday afternoon with some podcasts on, and I knit on this. And so I sat and relaxed, and I knit just this little stripe section. I didn't rush through it. I was in no great hurry, and I just enjoyed the process of just knitting round and round. It was kind of one of those days I would knit a few rows, and the children had come in and they wanted me to do something, or they'd need me to fix something, and I think Elizabeth had been making bracelets, so I stopped midway while I was helping her with that, and it was a really relaxing afternoon. There was no great hurry on us. We were and so I just relaxed and I knit on it, and while I didn't make a huge amount of progress, I'm happy with how I made the progress, not the amount. And I think that's going to be the general theme of this episode. I'm happy with being in the moment of knitting it, and being present in the moment, not just knitting while my mind is elsewhere. So I think that's definitely the theme for this podcast. Perhaps that'll be the title of it. So this is the progress I've made on my moon garden. And the yarns I am using are Eden Cottage yarns and again I'll give you the disclaimer. Most of what I knit with is Eden Cottage yarns. I like the yarn. The colours are right up. They are just my colours. So they are not only my colours personally, but my colours for work as well also. So we might as well just put that out there. And I'm sure if you're a regular viewer at this stage, you know. So the colours I am using is this beautiful black tulip, and it's this lovely dark purple, dark but yet a muted kind of purple. It's absolutely gorgeous. And the other colour that I'm using is this wicker. Now if you've seen the moon garden pictures of this on Instagram, this kind of looks like it's natural in some pictures, and it looks like it's silver in some other pictures. It is such a hard colour to photograph. I just dropped my pattern. What was it? Oh yeah, the wicker. It's such a really hard colour to photograph, and it is in fact this gorgeous. It's this beige, and it's a soft, and it's got. To me, it's got pink undertones to it, so it's absolutely gorgeous. It's a warm beige, so it is. It's not silver at all, and it's not natural. It's this beautiful warm beige, and as I said, it's got pinkish undertones to it, and together with the black tulip, it's absolutely fantastic. I'd say it's an extremely understated colour, and one that possibly gets overlooked and shouldn't. It's lovely. I am going to, I am definitely going to do something with this colour, so I am this year. That's all I'm going to say, because it is just, it's a fantastic colour. I'm really enjoying it. I'm going to put that pattern into my project bag before I lose it. I'll drop it again. So, is there anything else I want to say about this? No, I don't think so. I am knitting this on 3.5. Yeah, 3.5 circular needle. I am using my Chergu. I'm using my Chergu interchangeables. They are by far my favourite needle. I have the Higher Sharp interchangeables, and I do like those, but I love the Chergu. I love the Chergu so much that I pretty much knit all of my things on Chergu needles now. I just love the join. It's the red lace cable that I have, and I love the join. I love the cord. So yeah, these are definitely my favourite needles. So they are. It took a little bit of experimenting with, but they're definitely my favourite needles. So that is my Moon Garden. It's in my gorgeous Game of Thrones bag. I love Game of Thrones. So, this is the project that I'm going to be sneaking some time in this week to work on, because it is my Grace cardigan by Jane Richmond, and it is. I'm going to show you just a wee picture here. That is it there. And I think she has a great shot actually of the close-up of it there. That's such a great shot of the lace detail, because this lace detail is just at the top, on the front and the back. So I am knitting this in Eton Cottage yarns. This is some more. This is some more of the Milburn 4-ply. This is Autumn Fields. Now the Milburn 4-ply is 85%. I think it is. I think it's 85%. Yeah, 85% BFL and 15% silk, and it is just so gorgeous to knit with. It's lovely. Putting my DPN into that before I lose it, because I was on this sleeve the last time I showed it to you. I was I think somewhere about here. I had a few more. I had another increase or two, and then I had the ribbing to complete, which I did. So there it is. That is I've one sleeve done, and then I picked up and I knit this last night or yesterday evening. I think I spent most of the evening yesterday working on this while we caught up on some of our family TV watching. We have a couple of programs that we watch. What were we watching? Oh, Endeavour was back last night. Endeavour is the in case you don't watch it, it's the Young Inspector Morse series, and I love it. I really love it. Morse is one of my favourite detectives. Just one of them, because I have a few. But they brought out this series called Endeavour, and it is his earlier years, and I am really loving it. I loved it from the first moment I saw it. So I was really delighted to see that it was back. it was back on the screens, and there's 6 episodes in this series. Normally there's only 4, but there's 6 episodes in this one. Oh, and it was brilliant. 2 whole hours. It was fantastic. Just, it's one of those shows that you're delighted it's 2 hours long, because an hour is just, it's not enough. I really do. I really enjoy it. So anyway, back to Grace. That's what I was knitting on last night, and I finished the rest of this. I finished the rest of this. What were we watching? We were watching Dancing on Ice. The small girls really love that, so they do. They love seeing all the skaters. So I finished this while we were watching that, and then I picked up and I knit on the rest of this. And again, I'm not too worried about how much progress I made. It was just, I just enjoyed the knitting of it. I would have been stopping quite a lot of the way as I was watching the program, so that's why there would have been a few stops and starts and whatnot. So that's what I was doing. So Grace, this is how Grace is looking. And one completed, and so I'm on this. So I am hoping to sneak in a little bit of time on this other sleeve, because I just have the rest of the sleeve to go, and then I just have the button bands and the neckband, and then it's done, and I can wear it. I was a little unsure of this cuff length. This cuff length was 3 inches, and when I was reading it, I was a little unsure. The ribbing at the bottom here is 2 inches, which is kind of like just a nice amount of ribbing. It is just a nice amount of ribbing. It's what I like, but the pattern called for 3 inches on the arm, and I was a little unsure when I was knitting it whether I would just finish it at 2 inches so that it would be like the bottom, and then I decided no, I will continue on. I will knit at the 3 inches. That's what the pattern stated. That's what the designer designed it at, and yeah, and I picked the pattern because I liked the design, so why not knit it to what the designer had designed it at. So I did, and I actually like it. Yeah, I was a little unsure. I wasn't sure how it was going to look, but no, I like it. I like the slightly longer cuff, so I must remember that. I am knitting this on 4mm. I think it's 4mm. I think I had to go up to 4mm to get gauge with my yarn. Yeah, I did use my 4mm high needles for the main part of it, but I've switched over to DPNs for the sleeves of it. Is there anything else I want to say about this? No. The big thing that I want to say about this pattern, that I love, was when so naturally enough, when you get your pattern and you're reading through it, I always read through it from start to finish, so it gives me an idea of what I'm doing. What can I expect? What can I not expect? Is there some areas I'm a bit, do I need to look something up for that? So I do it with all patterns that I'm sitting down to work on, and it's one thing I put on all of my patterns to read through the whole thing, just get a feel for it, get an idea. So I read through all the instructions, and the first thing I noticed was it had none of the big long chunks of different sizes that I had to go through and highlight and go, but it had spaces with letters And I was looking through it and I was going, oh, I wonder what that's about. So as I went through it and got towards the end, on the last few sheets, it had all of the sizes laid out in a chart form with the measurements, and it had on another one, it had all of the kind of like all of the stitch counts and the measurements and for each of the sizes laid out in a table format. And so all I had to do was highlight my chosen size, and because it was in a table format, I had just one long length that I had to highlight so I could see it clearly. And I took those numbers and put them into the pattern where they needed to be, where they were all lettered and coded, so I could follow, oh, I need A for here. So I went and I looked at A for my size and put that number in, so that when I came to be knitting the pattern and I was working through it, I had just my number in that space. I didn't have every other size number in that space. I had just my number in that space, and I loved it. I loved it. I thought it was so clear. I wasn't getting confused by this number, that number, these other numbers. If I glanced quickly at it, the number that was there was the number relevant to the size I was knitting, and I wasn't, I have to say, it is one of the huge bonuses to that pattern. I haven't seen it with too many other patterns, but I have to say I loved it, and it was a huge plus for this pattern. So it was definitely for me. And I would have no hesitations in actually coming back and knitting this pattern again, because the experience was so enjoyable. I wasn't distracted when I would read the pattern for what I had to do next. It was just, everything was clear and relevant to my size, because I had put my numbers in from the table into the spaces that I needed at the start, and it was there, it was done, and it was ready. It was lovely. I have to say, really enjoyed it. Big plus for me. I really liked how that was laid out. So I did. So I'll just put this back to where I need it to be for later, because I am going to knit on this a little bit later on. So that was some of my other weekend knitting, and that's as usual in my Alice in Wonderland bag. Okay, what else? Oh, I know what else I have. The other thing I worked on were my chalkboard crayon socks. The minute I separated these from 2 at a time, I wanted to work on them. So I definitely don't think 2 at a time is for me. Okay, this was sock 1, and I worked on this. Okay, I took 2 of the bigger boys to see The Darkest Hour, which is the new Winston Churchill film that's in the cinemas with Gary Oldman. It was brilliant. I absolutely loved it. It was such a brilliant one. So I was here when the film started, and when the film finished, I was here. And I'm ready to put in the heel on it now. So I got all of this done while I was watching the movie. It was brilliant. I really enjoyed the movie. It was fantastic. This is a hair or something. And it was really amusing in places, which I wasn't expecting. I wasn't expecting just quite the humour that there was in it, because I think mainly because of the period in history that it's set around, and yeah, I have to say, I've always found Winston Churchill to be an interesting character, and more so now from the film. It was brilliant. And the two boys, they loved it. One, my eldest James, he is a huge Winston Churchill fan. Just yeah, and Alan, he came along. He is big into history. He loves all histories. So he came along eager to see it as well. So as I said, this was sock 1, and I'd knitted up to here, and I'm ready now to start the heel. I am going to put in a German short row heel. That is my favourite heel to knit if I am knitting a stripy kind of sock that I don't want the yarn interrupted. I absolutely love the fit of a heel flap and gusset. That is my favourite heel of all. But if like this, that I have a stripy kind of yarn like this, then I am going to I don't want to put it back into that. Then I do a German short row heel. So that was that sock. Then on Saturday night, after having a completely relaxing afternoon sitting knitting on Moon Garden, myself and my husband, we went to the cinema ourselves, and we went to see The Commuter, the new Liam Neeson film. So I was here and I finished here. I think I had 2 rows left to do when I came home in order to be at the same stage as the other one, ready for the heel. I needed to do 2 rows when I came home, just 2. Now I'm like Winston Churchill with the V for victory. Oh, it is so funny. But anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. I had just 2 rows left to do, so I got this practically ready for the heel when I was watching The Commuter. It was okay. It was an okay film. I enjoyed it. I enjoy going to the cinema anyway. It's one of my favourite things to do. So I enjoyed it, but it wasn't as good as The Darkest Hour, and it was a little predictable. Yeah, it was. I mean, I had a guess, so I had about halfway through. So it wasn't a big, it wasn't a big shock. It wasn't a big surprise, but there you go. It was enjoyable, and it was nice to get out for the night, so it was. So, you know. So anyway, sock 2 and sock 1, just so you can see. I am knitting them concurrently because that is my favourite way. This cable is slightly too long for my preference. This is the slightly longer one. 75 centimetre cable, I think this one is. And I much prefer the 55 centimetre cable for my socks, but there you go. I had it on this length to do the 2 at a time, and then I just took one sock off, so I just put the other one on the same length of a cable as it. And these are 2.25 Chow sock set, these needles. So heels, yes, garter stitch heels. Let's talk about the yarn. So this is the actual yarn that I'm using. This is Chalkboard by Karina of Strand Designs, who is an Irish indie dyer. See, I do sometimes knit with other yarns, so I do. Yes, so that is 75% superwash merino and 25% nylon, and it is Chalkboard. So as you can see, it is these lovely black stripes mixed with these speckled colouredy stripes. And I have yellow toes because we have nice yellow patches in it. And I know I've been going on about turquoise, I had to go and find it. I couldn't find it. So this is what I'm going to be using, this turquoise, which is from West Yorkshire Spinners. I love this. This is 75% wool and 25% nylon. I love the West Yorkshire Spinners yarn. I love the opal yarns too, and Regia. I'm a big fan of them. They make fantastic socks. I love them. So I am going to do heels in the turquoise, and I'm going to do cuffs, in this red. Oh, hang on. Okay, so I can put that over there like this. Okay, so can we see those? We can. Okay. So the turquoise, I'm going to do the heels in, and then for cuffs I'm going to use this lovely red mini that I have. And it will pick up those colours that are in Jasper, sit down, that are in them. So that's the. So sorry about that interruption. I got called away for much longer than I had anticipated. That was my my son had dropped back to pick up something. He's doing some work experience as part of his transition year in school, and he needed to drop home and pick up something. He's going out doing a job with the company he's working for. It's a civil engineer company. You know, the person he's working with is a civil engineer and architect, and that's what my son has an interest in doing when he leaves school. So it's an opportunity for them to gain some experience in the field that interests them, to see if that is what they want to go into. So anyway, he dropped home. He had to pick up something, and I got. It's been a while since I recorded the last bit, so I'm going to try and remember where I was when I stopped him and the dog went bananas. I've put him out in the kitchen, so hopefully he'll be quiet while I just finish this up. I think I was on the socks. I think I was just finishing up about the socks, the chalkboard crayon socks, and the colours I was using. I'm pretty sure that that's where I was. They seem to be the last project out here. So anyway, as I said, the heels and the cuffs and those, I don't know if I mentioned, I'm knitting these on 2.25s. That's my, I knit all my socks on 2.25s. And I am using my Chowgo sock interchangeables for these. I think that's, yeah. I'm not quite sure what I've already said about these. So anything I've missed out on, I'll fill in on the next time that I'm recording, because we'll be taking a look again at these, because hopefully I'll have made some progress on it. So the last thing then that I wanted to speak to you today about that I had been working on is my woodland blanket that I am crocheting. I am crocheting this as part of the Attic 24 crochet along that Lucy is running over on her website. Now I'm not keeping up with them. I started it a little bit later than when it officially started, and I really only work on this on a Sunday, so there's no way just working on it on one day that you'd keep up with it, and that's okay. I'm okay with that. This was never a project that needed to be rushed and finished, and so what I have done is I have finished the first part of it. I think they are all Friday gone. They had gotten the updated version for the 5th part of it. So I really only completed the first part. So this is it here. I've completed the first part of it. I was down here. Okay, I'll just fold it again and it might be easier to show everybody. So I was down here on the gold. I had worked up to here, and then last week I put in a few stripes and then a few more again on Sunday, and I have to say it's looking gorgeous. I'm really looking forward to getting started with the next set of colours, and I'm following the colour sequence for the woodland blanket. I'm not doing the random colourway. I know a few are, and Lucy has some pictures on her website that are absolutely gorgeous of people who are following the random, are making their own interpretation of it. I just really loved the original one, and that was the one I wanted to recreate. So I am following the original colour sequence for the woodland blanket. So there is a closer up look at it, and I am, this is the back. I am, as you'll see, I am finishing off, this is the back of it. I am finishing off all my threads as I'm going along. When I work whatever amount of stripes I have set out to work for that particular Sunday, once I'm finished, I weave in all of my ends, and I have them done. So that there is just where I finished off, and yeah. So as I said, so this is it here. Take one more quick look at it. I have it all opened out, and so it's a nice big, and it's starting to get big enough now that when I work on it, it's covering my lap, which is absolutely I love that. I normally have a blanket that I throw over my lap as I'm sitting here working. Anyway, it is this blanket here that I crocheted quite a while ago. It is it was just a square, just different squares I made up myself and joined them together. They were kind of like poppies is what I took my inspiration from. So they had the black centre and red, and then I joined them up with green, and I normally just put that over my lap as I'm working. So I'm looking forward to having the woodland, because that is quite a good bit bigger. The poppy blanket is only a lap size blanket, but this is going to finish up at about 4 foot by 6 foot, so it's going to be quite a good bit bigger. So it's going to be quite lovely the more it grows, sitting on my lap. Let's hope I have it done before summer, before it is too hot and then sunny to have it on my knee. So I am knitting it from the Woodland pack from Stylecraft. It's the special DK. Those are the packs that Lucy makes her blankets up, and you're able to purchase the packs, and that has all the necessary colours you need to complete it. And I am crocheting it on a 4mm crochet hook. This here is my favourite this is my favourite crochet hook, the Addy crochet hooks. So that's really all I have to say on that. And as I said, that's the last project that I had. That is the last project that I had to speak about. That's all I've really been working on. Which, looking at the mess I had here earlier, I had tidied some of it away. It was quite a bit more than I had thought. But as I said at the start of this episode and throughout it, I very much enjoyed each and every project when I worked on it, and I have found changing the approach I'm taking to those projects. I'm getting more delight in working on the projects when I am taking away this rush and this need to have this done or to have that done, or to be so far, when I'm taking that away out of it, it's taking my knitting back, both work and personal, right back to what it is that attracted me to knitting in the first place and what I loved about it. And that can only be a good thing, I think. So that is really all I have to talk about today. I hope you all enjoyed this episode, and I really do appreciate you taking the time to spend it with me. I hope you all have a very happy knit-filled period until I record again, and I will see you all again then. Happy knitting. Bye.